ask, let me not make assumption. Is the Nigerian government whining us, or is it CBN or the banks? Because I don't get it. They say they've changed money and there's new currency, or even though I've seen only one once, and it seemed not to be anywhere. You go to the bank, the banks are still dispensing the old currency. I thought it was supposed to be this year, this month, end of this month, that we're supposed to have done all the changes and whatever. And yet the banks are still dispensing old currency. You go to an ATM to collect some money, and then it still brings back the old money to you. The other day, I went to like this POS thing. I was running out of cash at the airport, of course, as usual. The ATMs weren't working, and I had to go and meet someone. And she gave me this dirty note. I was like, the banks are still giving you this. That was last year. It feels so good saying last year. So we are in 2023 now, right? Okay, that was last year. That was December. That was last month, which is also last year. And I was wondering, because I'm one person who I really don't use cash. I prefer to just, I'm already a cashless person. I use my card. But there are certain times where you need cash to do one thing or the other. And so like today, I went to an ATM and I took money, and it's old. It's really so annoying. And then the last minute, they will now start rushing people, and then they will now start telling people that, they can't do one thing or the other. We already have a lot of people who are not even within the banking system, that do lots of businesses and stuff like that, and a good number of them are going to be affected. This is really personal to me, because I watched my dad lose everything with that change of money during when Buhari was military head of state himself and Idiago, when they put in that whole thing that people had to change their money quickly, and someone who was in business, and even though he had bank account, and then I think there was a limit of something like 5,000 or one thing or the other, at the end of the day, I remember my uncle bringing, because then my dad he used to sell egg, he was a distributor we had this ice cream. If any of you is from Kano or lived in Kano in the 80s and all of that, there was this place where they sold ice cream in Bello Road. That was my parents. Chalarams, in front of Chalarams. That was my parents. And I was there, used to help her. From, a family that was comfortable and everything, and we lost everything. Everything just became psh. I remember one of my uncles bringing in a truckload of eggs. And I wasn't on the eve of the deadline for changing money. And this man that normally, because my dad would order, he was used to be the one to drive the truck, and he would bring it to Kano. And it was during scarcity, and they just bought the egg off him and they gave him old money. And the guy started coming to Kano with old notes that nobody could collect again. I remember my dad was almost like, oh Lord, have mercy. I understand. And so it was so devastating. I ended up losing everything. And for me, that's one of the reasons why I don't have attachment to anything. Because I saw my dad from having a whole lot to having nothing. And so anytime that, even in my businesses, anytime I'm having business challenge or this thing, I always remember that moment. And I say to myself, I'm not going to go down the way my dad went down. I'm going to fight back. And I remember the last financial crisis that I had, or like that was on my 39th birthday, which is a decade from now. That was 2012. Yeah, 2012. And so one of the things I just kept saying to myself was that from someone who had spent her youth, not even her teenage years, not knowing where the next meal will come from, and to be able to lose this amount of money, to mean that means progress. And I do not fall back. So for me, it's something that I know, this is something that will affect a lot of people. And yet we still have banks are still giving old notes, banks are still giving old money. And by now you would expect that banks will mop up all these things out of the system, which they should be dispensing the new notes to us. This rate at which they are going to, they have to, what do you call it now? The deadline has to be shifted, because right now, it doesn't seem as if CBN is ready. It doesn't seem as if the banks are ready. It doesn't seem as if the government is ready. And they just can't go on and punish people. Please, make them not whine person anyway. Are you whining us or what? I don't get it. Please, they better get their ass together. This is not the one that they're going to impoverish a lot of people again. They're going to throw people into poverty. People are already suffering enough. There's a lot of suffering in Nigeria. Please, don't add to our suffering. Thank you. Bye.